Hi, this is Edlock with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. MLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA MLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
You have scoured the podcast world. You have finally found the place where news is weighed in the balance. Welcome to Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry. 2 words and 2 question marks.
Jerry,
Hello.
cold, sweet, red, OG tonight.
There you go.
That's
You have fun with that.
I
wish
am.
I could enjoy it, but I can't.
okay. I'll drink
And
your
enjoy
share
it for me.
for you. I'll do this. I even kick my pinky out like this.
Wow.
How's that? That was for you.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate you drinking and enjoying it for me.
Okay. So we couldn't talk about it before, so I'll tell you the title of our thing tonight. So you can have it rolling around in your mind.
Okay.
So the title I put on our podcast tonight is Freedom Caucus Revolt and the Disgusting Lindsey Graham. That'll let you roll around in your noggin for a minute.
And we don't tell each other much, if anything, about
Right.
what we're going to discuss because we don't want to ruin the fact that it's an original, honest
Right.
opinion that we get from each other, not something we've rehashed.
Prescript or
Well,
certain things
we are the farthest from pre-scripting anything.
Right. Well, we do occasionally, if it's a big topic, we will sub it out. Like when we do our single topic episodes,
Right.
and then we'll say, well, you're covering this side of the issue and I'm covering
But even
that
then,
side. But
I haven't seen what you're going to go over, and you haven't saw mine. So what you hear live is actually and honest the first time that either one of us have heard what the other one thinks and feels about the particular.
Which is why a lot of times I'm like,
Yeah. But the reason I brought that up was earlier I asked him to at least tell me what his main topic. He's sitting there typing it into the computer, so he asked me mine, and I gave it to him, and I asked him what his main one was, and he said, I can't tell you. And then he comes out with what is it? Disgusting, nasty.
The disgusting Lindsey Graham.
And I'm thinking, seriously?
This man makes me want to take a shower.
I feel the same way. So why would you not want to?
Listen, when we get to the topic today, if this man doesn't anger you, where's he from? South Carolina?
Yep, South Carolina.
If you live in South Carolina, we have a lot of listeners in South Carolina. If you continue to vote this man as your senator, shame on you.
Well, see, you also felt the exact same way about John McCain.
Absolutely.
I really, absolutely like John McCain.
Okay.
I thought he was honest. I thought he was a guy who didn't let the party tell him how to feel. He was honest with everything he did, I thought. I don't think that Lindsey Graham is that way. I think Lindsey Graham does things his way, and I don't like them. But in a lot of respects, he's pretty similar to McCain.
Okay. Granted, all of that's true. And I'll even take it a step further to say, as much as I absolutely abhorred John McCain, John McCain never said anything that I'm aware of that comes close to what this man said.
Well, at least they have an idea of what we're going to
Yeah,
be talking about.
we're going to
this
just
evening,
jump
which
right
is good.
in.
You and I
Yeah.
were talking earlier.
Yeah.
I think we do a bad job, and we're hopefully going to do a better job in the future. We'll come on and we have an ad, then we have a little bit of music, and then we sit here and talk about the week and do a dad joke. And 15 minutes from the time that you first started listening, we finally get to what we're going to talk about. So we'll try to do a better job of that in the future,
Well,
of letting you know. And hey, if you have zero interest, you can go ahead and turn us off and say, well, I'll listen next week and say we're going to cover something I'm interested in.
Speaking of, and if they want to guide that conversation, how would they get a hold of us to do that, Jerry?
Yes, we absolutely would love if they would give us some feedback. They have a couple of ways of doing that. The email address is newsworthywithsteveandjerry@gmail.com. They can text us at area code 540-709-1318.
And so today is, today, Jerry, is June 7th. It's day
June
7 of my birthday month. I
Yes,
am
it is.
still receiving and requesting gifts for the entire month. I'll accept those all month long.
By the way, next
Wednesday
podcast
will be
will
my birthday.
his
Yeah.
birthday.
I will be an amazing 29 again.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Today
You know that
is
you're
also,
exactly 10 years younger than me, so it's not like I ever forget how old you are.
well,
I
that's
say
true.
exactly, not it's a month away
Yeah.
from me
So,
exactly.
today is National Junebug Day.
Junebug.
Yeah.
Go figure.
And it's National Runners Day for all you people. See,
Runners?
like
Okay.
people who run up and down the street. I have never understood people who run. And if you're a runner, send us a text and send us a picture of you running with a smile on your face. If you do that, I'll start running with you. But I've never seen
I don't know how many people listen to us that are joggers or runners,
I've
but
never seen
I've seen several.
that smile.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Never have I
Absolutely.
seen that.
Patty, one of my ex-girlfriends, you met her a few times. She had a couple of nephews who were in the Marines. I remember at a
Those people are
cookout one
crazy.
time, and Kevin and Jacob was sitting there talking about running, and they were talking about how much fun they had, how much they enjoyed it. And I remember Jacob saying that he felt like he could run all day long. He said, I'm sure I couldn't. I'm sure I'd eventually run out of energy. He said, but when I'm running, he said, I just wish that I didn't have to go to work. I wish I didn't have to go home. I wish I didn't have to eat. I wish I could run all the time.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. A lot of people enjoy it. I guess it's just you and I who every once in a while think about exercising and then roll over and have another beer. Roll over on the couch, I should have said.
Well, here's the thing. I would run under one small condition.
That a bear's after you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If there's a bear after me, or you're running away from me with a strawberry shortcake, that's probably worth me running towards you.
Cheesecake? Yeah, I'll agree
Cheesecake,
with you.
I'm good there too. Yeah. So,
unfortunately, with my high sugar
double.
numbers, I'm going to have to give that up for a while.
You got to get that stuff under control. Because, see, what's happening is you can't drink this wine, and I'll be drinking a bottle every Wednesday.
Yep.
Last week, that
was
rough.
Fine.
This week, the Stella Rosa Black is a low alcohol wine. It's only like 5%.
Instead of the 12.
Last week was 13%.
13.
And woo-wee. Also, I want to take a brief second, and then we can get into topics or whatever you want to do, Jerry. But last week and the week before, our numbers we don't talk about numbers a lot. The last 2 weeks have been like...
No, it's mainly this week, this past week.
It was off the charts.
And it was several days, and it's not like they were listening to this episode. They were several people on multiple days went back and listened, downloaded every episode.
Different states.
The hell?
And so it wasn't like, it wasn't like Uncle Bob over in wherever. Sure. It was different states, different parts of the country.
Different days. Yes.
Different days. And so if you were one of those people, thank you. We appreciate you.
Yes, we do. We appreciate everyone all the time. But yeah, we had a ton of listeners in the last week that we were sitting back looking at the numbers, trying to figure it out, and we finally just threw our hands up and said, "Yeah, we don't get it."
We don't get it, but we appreciate it.
That was after saying "What the hell" numerous times.
So Mochi and Double have finally joined us. We started a little late today. I was a little late with dinner. That's my fault. But
I was just thinking about, you're talking about wine. Next week, I think I'll buy one of those 1.5 liter, the doubles
oh, good.
of a high percentage, just for you.
Oh, see, you just don't want me to be able to walk.
No, I saw
right?
how you were last week. There you go. The bottle is officially empty.
So
The glass is not, but the bottle is
it
empty.
won't be long. Mike had bought us these newsworthy wine glasses, and they will hold half a bottle each
Yes,
fill
they
up.
do.
So it's not either. And guess what?
What's that?
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, you should buy a 1.5 liter next week because we'll be celebrating.
Your birthday?
Yeah.
I might have to actually drink a little wine for that.
Yeah.
That I might do. Do you know there are 3 types of people in this world?
What's that?
Those who can count and those who can't. Sums the world up.
Oh, Jerry, I'm so glad you brought up math
Why is that?
because I want you. Do you know what a impatient person uses to do math?
An impatient person
Yeah,
uses to do math. I give up. What is it?
a calcunel.
Oh, not later, but now. They don't
Yeah.
want to wait for
Not a
their-
calculator, a calcunel.
I got
Double's
it.
one of those people. She's going to use those. 60, Mochi. Really? That hurts my heart. She's saying you're 70 years old, Jerry.
Apparently. She's saying you're 60 and I'm 10 years older than you.
You know,
60 is an age to celebrate, she says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anywho, so see, Double's done found your source. She saw that joke today.
My joke?
Yeah. You know what? Just do it. We're not doing video. We've decided on Newsworthy we're not going to do video because sometimes we're going to delve into some controversial
Seriously?
issues.
Are you saying do it?
to the
With
joke
what a good
because it's
person.
freaking hilarious. We
Okay.
apologize in advance, but it's just
There's
comedy.
this joke that I come across and I was like, this is just too good. But then I thought it's really kind of bad. Maybe I shouldn't do it. And I thought, you know what? I'll run it by Steve and see if. Well, first of all, I actually ran it by my daughter, and she's like, "Oh, Dad, that's a good joke, but you can't do that." Pretty much the same exact reaction from Steve and his wife, but he's just given me the okay. So here goes. My handicapped girlfriend broke up with me this week, and it pissed me off so bad I stole her wheelchair.
Oh no.
And guess who came crawling back? Sorry. Steve said, we apologize in advance for that one, folks. So, Double, did you hear that one today, too?
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's fun.
It was good. It was very good.
Actually, I read that one on Reddit.
Really?
I don't know if you knew there's a subreddit called Dad Jokes.
No, I didn't.
That's where I get a lot of my jokes. And the crazy part is a lot of the funniest jokes are not there. It's in the comments. And I was reading the comments for this one, and it sounded like an honest comment. A lady said, I'm going to give that one to my husband. By the way, I'm a wheelchair user. So she thought it was funny.
Double
Laughing
says,
at it.
"Oh my God, shame on you."
She's like, just when we thought they couldn't drop to lower standards, they did it.
Well, that's the glory of us not being on a national network yet. So, so I've got a lot of topics tonight, Jerry. You want to get into topics?
Let's do it.
All
Lead
right.
off.
You want me to start, or do you want to
man.
start?
Well, you got a bunch of good ones, so you lead away. Tell us about how much you love Mr. Lindsey Graham.
Oh, you want to start with that?
No, I'm just whatever.
Oh, I
You
don't
start with
care.
whatever you want.
So Lindsey Graham was in a meeting with Zelensky from Ukraine not too long ago, and this conversation happened probably a month ago. But I just saw the clip yesterday or today.
Please tell me you didn't see the Russian clip. Please tell me you didn't see the Russian clip of this.
What are you talking about?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just saw the clip
Okay.
of what they were having a conversation.
Okay.
And Lindsey Graham says, and I quote, the Russians are dying. Best money we ever spent.
Oh my gosh, Steve.
What?
Dude, you gotta get out of the rabbit holes. You gotta get away from Fox every now and then.
I don't even listen to Fox anymore.
The day that Russia come out with the clip that you're referring to, and what you're referring to is edited, doctored video by Russia, released by Russia. The very same day that come out, Ukraine come out with the full video and said, you watch it. You tell me if this has used the full video to put it into context. Now here's the problem with what the clip that Russia edited. He actually said exactly what you said, but about 20 minutes apart.
It's still disgusting.
What's disgusting? The fact that he talked about that Russians were dying later, half an hour later.
Okay, you can
he's
edit
talking
out.
About, hold on,
okay.
Half an hour later when they're discussing, is the United States going to continue giving and encouraging other countries to give money to Ukraine in an effort to help them try to withstand this invasion from Russia? And he was saying, yes, we absolutely are. We think it's some of the best money that we've ever spent. Had absolutely nothing to do with the first part. So you listened to the edited clip from Russia and fell for it. Now, Lindsey Graham's got a lot of problems. Lindsey Graham says a lot of stupid stuff. This one, Russia manipulated the video.
Russia manipulated the video and then issued a warrant for Lindsey Graham's arrest.
Yes. I don't know if it's before or after, but
it was after.
Do you know why they're issuing a warrant for any American? Because we have issued warrants for many of their people. Russia always tries to go tit for tat, right? You're going to kick out one of our ambassadors. What do they always do every single time? They kick out one of our ambassadors.
For you said the Fox. I need to come out of the foxhole or the rabbit hole of Fox. Fox actually said this, so you should correct yourself.
Fox said what?
Fox said, while Graham appeared to have made the remarks in different parts of the conversation, in the short video that the Ukraine's presidential office put them next to each other, not Russia. Ukraine put those next to each other, causing outrage in Russia. It's what it says right here.
I'm telling you, then it's false, and I'll prove it. Russia come out with this video.
May 29th.
Russia come out with this video and released it to the public saying, here's what this nasty United States senator said. It was, like I said, this very same day, Ukraine come out with the entire video and said, here's the full thing. You be the judge. And there is no appears to be different. It's vastly different conversation, vastly different context. And it was Russia simply took the entire video and they edited a few words out. Have you ever heard of Billy Graham? Probably have, right? He, in one of his sermons, he led off by talking about, he said, get out your Bibles and turn to whatever scripture it was. He said, and let's attempt to rightly divide the word of God. He then proceeded to explain what he meant by rightly divide the word of God. He said, and he read 6 or 7 different verses. And he said, if you want to cherry pick and you want to take a few words from this one and a few words from this one, here's what you end up with. And he started with talking about Judas, who obviously betrayed Christ and that scenario. But by taking different verses and picking a few words from each, he come out with a scripture that says, go and kill thyself, and whatsoever thou doest, doest it quickly. Go kill thyself and do it quickly. That's exactly what Russia did. They took a few words from here and a few words from there, and they put it together. Hey, go watch the entire video. It's out. He didn't. It had nothing to do with each other.
Graham considers the arrest warrant to be, and I quote, a badge of honor.
That's what he said the same day.
Yeah. And this is a direct quote from Lindsey Graham. To know that my commitment to Ukraine has drawn the ire of Putin's regime brings me immense joy. I'll continue to stand with and for Ukraine's freedom until every Russian soldier is expelled from Ukrainian territory. Finally, here's an offer to my Russian friends who want to arrest me and try me for calling out the Putin regime as war criminals. I will submit to jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court if you do. Come and make your best case. I'll see you in The Hague. Even if that particular segment is gross, and according to Fox, that was released by Ukraine. It was not released by.
I'm telling you, it was not.
I'm not. I don't know, Jerry. I'm just saying what I'm reading right here is a Fox report. But just watching the video of him smirking and laughing while people who Russian, Ukrainian, doesn't matter, are dying, and he's getting a kick out of that. It's disgusting. Period. I always appreciated Lindsey Graham's willingness to be who he is, much like you did with John McCain. But there's no reason to smile and almost be giddy over the fact that somebody is in a position of putting, when two leaders decide that their people will fight each other. There's no glory and giddiness in that, and it drives me insane.
I think he's simply attempting to make fun of them for issuing an arrest warrant for him.
Well, maybe, but
I think
it's very disrespectful to the men and women who are actually fighting that war, being on either side. The Ukrainian war.
Wow, everything he said was very positive about Ukraine. So how is it disrespectful to Ukraine?
When he's sitting there and they're in the middle of combat, fighting and dying, and he's up here laughing and getting that, pardon my French.
Laughing at what? Them dying? No, he laughed at the fact that Russia
issued
an arrest warrant for him. He's not laughing at the war.
No.
He's not laughing at Ukrainians dying.
Jerry, I'm talking about the video where whoever released it. That whole entire video that I watched, he's laughing and smiling, and it's just, it makes me ill. I don't think that that's a place for that.
The entire time?
Yeah, I'm just sitting there, while you were talking, I sat there and watched the whole video.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So, what did you find out?
I just told you.
What you first read, is that true? Is there any semblance of truth in that?
Look at this picture. If you can see this man is, he says...
Steve, I'm asking from your original comment, which was, he said that Russians are dying and the best money we've ever spent. Is that what he said?
He says it here. Context? He doesn't say it like you say, it is separated. I get
Which one is first? Which one does he say first?
Russians are dying.
Nope. In the unedited video, Graham first said it's the best money we've ever spent. So you either didn't watch the full video.
Okay, so just follow me for a second. What are we spending that money to do?
Help Ukraine not
kill the Russians.
Really?
Right?
That's the intention? I thought that we were trying to help Ukraine not be taken over by Russia. Maybe I'm wrong.
No.
Maybe our intent was, hey, let's see how many Russians we can kill. In which case, why didn't we send them a few bombs? If that's our intent, why aren't we arming them with bombs?
Oh, I'm sure that's probably on Zelensky's wish
list. You know as well as I, even though you don't want to admit it, that's never been our intent. Our intent was simply to stop Russia from annexing an entire country.
I think it's been our intent since the beginning to prevent Russia from growing and doing it at somebody else's cost, not ours.
I just said. Not Russian dying, as you said a minute ago. That was never our intent.
And this Jack, sorry.
By the way, you are right.
Zero respect for Zelensky.
I just researched, and you are right. This was originally first released by Ukraine, apparently by mistake, but it was released by a Ukrainian video editor as a clip. They come back very quickly after Russia had their say and released the entire thing. And it says here, in the unedited video, Graham first said, it's the best money we've ever spent. Later, when talking about back and forth with Zelensky, he added, and the Russians are dying. At that point, they were talking about how the battle was going, how the war was going.
Yeah. Well,
so it really had nothing to do with, he first said, it's the best money we've ever spent. Later, they're talking about a different subject, and he says the Russians are dying.
There's so much I don't like about Zelensky. Like I just, but this has nothing to do with that, and it has nothing to do with this. It has
What
to
is
do.
it you don't like about Zelensky?
Oh, lots.
The fact that he wore his military uniform
In this
when he
particular
appeared to
meeting,
Congress.
in this particular meeting with a group of senators who were dressed in suits, he wore a T-shirt. I'm just.
His military fatigue T-shirt that he's worn since the very beginning of
He
the
should
war.
take that off and
Yeah.
wash it.
Is that the T-shirt you're referring to?
I'm sure it's green.
Okay, it's the same T-shirt he's been wearing since the entire battle. Not saying the only one, but he wears the same T-shirt every time you see him.
I'm just
And
saying.
you take that as a form of disrespect, especially when you come to Congress.
Well, when you're coming to Congress begging for money, yeah, but
You're not allowed to wear your military uniform.
I'm just saying there's a time and place, Jerry.
For a military uniform, yeah, it's called war.
Oh,
It's called
in
war.
Washington, we're in war.
When your country is at war, is the time for you to wear a military uniform. For the president, what other time would there be for a president of a country to wear a military uniform?
I can't imagine that there's ever been a president of our country go visit a foreign dignitary wearing military fatigues.
I have no idea what our presidents wear and have worn over the last many years. Eisenhower, I wouldn't be surprised to hear he hadn't.
Oh, I'm sure he has. He'd probably be the only one I could think of. But beyond all of that,
Okay.
the smirks, the body language. As someone who reads body language,
I can't comment.
Lindsey
I haven't
Graham is
seen all of it.
just makes me disgusted.
I don't like Lindsey Graham. I'm not a fan of his.
Yeah.
I'm not. But, when you were saying the first part you said is the story that Russia has come out with and tried to dictate the narrative. And it was a false narrative. So, did want to correct that.
Well, it was a false narrative put out originally by Ukraine. So that makes the rest of the story make sense. Just saying.
Explain how that makes the rest of the story.
When that was originally put out, Russia saw it and issued. That's what I'm saying. It makes the rest of it.
And they
make
issued,
sense.
yeah. Okay.
I mean, that pissed me
fair
off
enough.
too a little bit. If I was Putin or any Russian,
Fair enough.
Anywho, well, that's my topic. And I don't think, just for the record, I don't think Lindsey Graham gets any more news coverage. Thumbs down.
As much as I dislike him, he's a sitting United States senator, but not only a sitting senator. How long has he been in power?
Too long. Mitch McConnell no more coverage. He gets thumbs down.
Lindsey Graham. Google that for me if you don't mind,
Sure.
please.
What's your first topic? I'll Google that.
Lindsey Graham, how long has he been? That was my point. It's hard to say that one of the longest serving United States senators shouldn't get any news coverage. I think, his position and his seniority means that he gets at least some coverage.
He's been a senator since 2003.
2003, 20 years.
Yep. Which is about 10 too long.
Before I go into my first topic, last week I mentioned something that you had previously promised people that you would research, and I couldn't think of what it was.
Neither could I, which
Well,
is
it
why
did
we
come
didn't
to
get that.
me in the last week. And what you promised our listeners that you would look up was several weeks ago. You promised the people when you were discussing Montana banning TikTok. And I was simply saying, I don't understand why. I don't understand why Trump and several different politicians, not just Trump, several politicians have said that TikTok is dangerous. I get that it's owned by China. But my point is, how is it dangerous? And you promised to research and let us know how dangerous this
I did.
is.
And I failed
Now,
our
please
listeners.
let
I'm
us.
sorry.
I did mention this to you earlier, and I showed you on my phone. Please let everyone know all the many app permissions on my phone that TikTok has.
0 for Jerry.
None. So can it access files on my phone?
You say no.
Can it access location or text messages or any of that?
Again, you say no.
I say no, or my phone, the Android system says no.
Well, your Android says
The Android system says that TikTok on my phone has been granted 0 privileges, none.
It's also the same Android that will easily hand over all the data on your phone at the request of the FBI or CIA.
The Android system does?
Huh?
No, the Android system doesn't hand over anything.
Oh, the provider that owns the Android system.
the provider can hand over text messages and things that I send through their system. The only way to access my actual phone would be to take it, which they obviously have the right to do.
I'm so glad you bring that up because that leads right into my
Well,
next category. When you're done, you
Now,
still got your topic.
Yeah, I got my topic. We covered that. So can we look forward to that next week?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that we found it, I will bore the audience with all of the
Bore them?
details.
It's not going to bore them. I mean, you thought it important enough to cover it on one of your topics.
I did.
Why Montana was
I
being
will bring
banned,
it up.
or
Yes,
was
sir.
Montana
I will
was
make
banned
sure,
TikTok?
as sure as I'm sitting here, that
Sounds
next
great.
week on my birthday,
On your birthday.
I get to cover TikTok.
How horrible of Jerry
I don't
to
even
make
have
you do
TikTok.
this.
Gosh.
Yeah, but you like it. Want to tell them the last TikTok that you thoroughly enjoyed that I sent you?
Oh. No, I do not.
Okay. Yeah, we've said enough naughty things. We'll
Yeah,
skip that
we don't
one.
want to get kicked off the airwaves because of you.
I think everyone's heard about the awesome things that artificial intelligence is doing in today's world. From
Did you say
chat,
awesome?
awesome things?
Okay.
Yeah, from chat. I mean, everywhere you look, you're hearing about it in newscasts and everywhere. Artificial intelligence, everywhere you look, is being paraded as the next great thing.
It is truly for what cell phones and smartphones are for us. AI is going to be for the next generation
it
by
is.
far, and then the generation after that won't exist, so it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Wasn't it Einstein that had the famous quote of, "I do not know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but I do know with what weapons World War IV will be
Yeah.
fought.
Sticks and stones.
It's kind of like the same thing as what you're saying. But anyway, from ChatGPT, that was the first big one, huge one, and probably I would guess is still the most famous one.
It's crazy.
It is crazy good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. But there's a ton of them out there, literally. Google's got Bard. There's one called UChat. There's a ton of them everywhere you look. And most of the things that I've heard so far has been pretty positive. Now, there's a few negatives. You hear about the fact that they're going to be replacing some jobs in the future.
Some? I think I know where this is going. I read his report.
No, it's not. Probably not. Be willing, ice cream cone? Want a bit?
What?
I'm saying that you don't know where this is going.
Oh, no, I ain't going to bet on that because you got a twisted mind.
No, not that. But it's going to head a different direction than you think.
Oh, so I could cancel the order for the AI doll. Okay, gotcha.
For the what?
The AI doll.
Oh, yeah. You can.
Okay, good deal.
U.S. News had an article today quoting the FBI, warning Americans that criminals are increasingly using artificial intelligence to create sexually explicit images that are used to intimidate and extort victims. So this,
no,
what
that
you were
wasn't
thinking?
going at all. No.
Yeah, didn't think so. Extortion victims are saying that they have been targeted using doctored versions of innocent images that are being taken from social media posts, private messages,
Deep
video
fakes.
chats, deepfakes.
Yep.
But guess what? Before, in the past, deepfakes have been around, but it took a bunch of really smart people to know how to do it.
And make it look
Artificial
right. Yeah.
intelligence makes it to where anybody can do it.
Isn't that crazy?
Anybody. So suddenly, grandma and grandpa get a picture of their grandchild, and there's a dude holding a knife to their throat. And they send a message saying, "Send me $5,000 or I'm going to cut their head off in the next hour." What does grandma and grandpa do? They go to the bank.
Yeah.
They go to the bank. They get the money. More and more, the FBI is saying that this is happening. So, yeah, I hadn't heard that. Just like most things, not everything is good or bad. There's, going to be some of everything mixed in with it.
Last week, I read a report that said worldwide, within the next 5 to 10 years, AI will replace 300 million jobs.
Where'd you read that at? Do you remember the author?
I don't. It was on one of the websites, the MSN websites that I
highly doubt that.
300 million jobs worldwide, not just in the United States.
It's going to replace several.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It really is. But I think they were probably taking AI. They were probably looking at automation, period, whether it's robotics or AI powered. AI itself cannot come close to doing that. But if you want to combine AI with advanced robotics.
Yeah, I've seen that movie, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was the star of it. I don't want to go back to that. I don't. No, thank you. But I don't, honestly, as much as we're joking about it, there's some kook out there that thinks he can make a buck out of it. It's going to make that happen.
Sure.
I
That's
mean,
proven by the guys who are using deep fakes to.
exactly. And, that's whenever ChatGPT, and I'm really surprised that, and I'm not going to get into the weeds with it, but I was watching and I don't have his name in front of me, a video of one of the developers of ChatGPT.
Who resigned and quit?
I don't think it was that guy.
Okay.
It was a different guy, but he was describing and illustrating the differences between version 1 and version 4,
which is what we're on now,
Right.
GPT-4.
And basically, there's this thing called brain cognitive theory, which, like, when we're sitting here having a conversation, we can read each other's eye contact, our body language, and we can understand and we can deduce: is Jerry interested? Is he bored? Is he engaged with the topic? In chapter 1, version 1, ChatGPT didn't have any of that. In chapter 2, it had developed that on like a 4-year-old level compared to humans. The thing is, no programmer put that into the system. It developed that on its own. And from chapter 2 or version 2 to version 3, it had gone all the way up to like a 14-year-old's ability to understand, read body language and chit chat and just understand the human brain. And then in chapter 4, somewhere between chapter 3 and chapter 4, now this is where it gets very confusing and very in the weeds. I don't understand all of it. It's above my pay grade. But the developers had developed these things called transformers, which ChatGPT is a language-based AI. It gave ChatGPT the ability to convert everything it saw to a language that it understood. And so that multiplied how fast it could learn. So somewhere between chapter 3 and version 3 and version 4,
right,
it had gone from 14-year-old to a full adult as being able to have and understand body language and brain theory of a human. To me, that blows me away. I can't. And the particular guy that was talking about it, he wasn't out to make a buck. He wasn't out to scare anyone. He was kind of just blown away by the whole process and how fast it was learning, and what number 5 is going to look like, because there's unless you hit the kill switch, there's no stopping it at this point. It's just going to continue to get better, faster, stronger, because now it doesn't read in our language. It created its own language that it converts everything to, which makes it even faster. So it's pretty interesting stuff. And we probably should do a whole show on just AIs in the future at some point. But it was kind of a neat thing, and I just wanted to pop that in there.
Couple things. Have you ever heard of technological singularity?
No, unless it was on Star Trek.
The technological singularity, or simply more normally referred to as the singularity, is a hypothetical future point in time at which technological growth becomes uncontrollable, and it's teaching itself. It no longer needs us. Right. It's teaching itself, at which point it begins to progress unbelievably fast. Now, with all that being said, have you ever heard of the Turing test? Turing.
Yes.
I
don't know the specifics, but I know it's like the 3.
No.
No? Okay,
no.
Go ahead.
The Turing test, originally called the Imitation Game by Alan Turing, come out in 1950. Is a test of a machine's ability to exhibit intelligent behavior equivalent to or indistinguishable from that of a human. Alan Turing proposed that a human evaluator could judge natural language conversations between a human and a machine that was designed to generate human-like responses. And the person doing the evaluating would be told that one of these two partners is a machine and one is a human. And his proposal was that the person evaluating can pick out which one is which.
Really?
1950, okay? This test came out in 1950. When do you think the first AI was able to pass the Turing test.
1951.
Still hasn't happened.
Really?
Hasn't happened today. The
Wow.
AI that we're talking about cannot convince a person who is looking at a conversation between it and a human that it's the human.
Huh.
Never happened. Has never happened. Ever.
Never is a
Not with
long way
ChatGPT.
away.
No, I'm not saying never will. I'm saying
Right.
it has never happened yet.
Yeah.
So for all the advances, it can't even convince an average person that it's a human.
It's probably because it's too smart at this point.
It's too stupid.
Oh.
Here's the point. All these things we're talking about are called large language models. Basically, what they have done is to feed them with an incredible amount of text. Is let them read the internet, basically. Yeah. One of them that I was looking at the other day, 13 terabytes that it was trained on. 13 terabytes. Just an unbelievable. I mean, all the books in the world ever written is, 1/10 of 1,000th of 100th of that.
Wow.
Now, everything on the stop and think about it. There's a ton of stuff on the internet, a ton of information that's true, a ton of crap that's not true. Can you imagine what it gets when it reads Reddit?
Yeah, jeez.
It doesn't know what's true and what's not.
Right. Makes sense.
AIs are still making up crap left and right.
So, you want to know who's not making up crap?
Who's not making up crap?
Edlock.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number 1, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre-approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number 2, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number 3, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number 4, consider all the costs. Number 5, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
You want to know a funny story about Edlock?
What's that?
So today I took today off, right?
Okay.
I'm starting for those who don't know, I am starting a new position with Bluegrass Community Action Partnership starting next week. It's kind of an exciting deal. It's a good growth opportunity, but I took the rest of this week off. I'm not driving the bus. And so I was so stoked. I get to sleep in today, and it was going to be exciting. Nice. And at 7:30 this morning, I get a call from Ed Locke. I'm like, what do you want this morning? He's like, well, you're usually up eating blueberries by now. And I'm like, no.
At that point, he's right. Usually you've been up for hours.
Right. But he was up that early working on a deal that we're working on for a first-time home buyer couple. I'm so excited that we're going to be able to get this deal done for these folks. Great folks. Got a couple of kids. They live in a really tiny apartment, and this house is 4 times the size of that apartment. So great deal for them. I'm stoked. But just a truism for Mr. Locke there. 7:30 this morning, he was bugging me.
It's the kind of guy you want on your side, right?
Absolutely.
As Ben Franklin once said, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise.
And sexy.
Oh, you trying to say Mr. Edlock is sexy?
No, I'm saying you need to get up earlier.
Okay. That wasn't a plug for Edlock. That was a slam for me. Put it on. Yeah, when that ad started, I looked at my watch. I was like, holy crap, it's time for us to end. How did we? Then I forgot we started half an hour
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, we've got a little more time.
Yeah, you should as early as you get up double. For real. You should be like multi-millionaire. So, you want to talk? I've got 3 more good topics.
3 more, huh?
3 more. And they're all as good as... Okay, first of all, I think one's more important.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's cover that one. So, not too long ago, we had a story about Serbia and a dancing lady. Do you remember that?
I do.
Serbia's in the news again.
Okay.
Have you been? Do you know the
I've not
story?
heard of
Okay, so
Serbia. No, not lately.
in the last 2 weeks, they've had 2 mass shootings.
Yes, I did hear one.
Yes. The president of Serbia has, and they're set up a little different than we are. Like the president has way more power there than we do here. And I'm not sure how that all works out, but they are part of the European Union, and basically, they've had 2 mass shootings in early May. That are everybody compares that to what happens here in the United States, unfortunately. The last straw was a 13-year-old boy and his father, with his father's pistol, killed 9 people, including 8 children, at an elementary school in Belgrade.
Yep.
A day later, a 20-year-old killed 8 and injured 14 on a rampage just south of Belgrade. In response to those 2 tragedies, within 2 days, President Aleksandar Vučić, I'm probably butchering his name, and I apologize, has set on a mission to cleanse Serbia of firearms. And basically, Serbia, and here's the problem. Here's the thing, that when we talk about gun ownership in America, you and I often talk about common sense controls.
Yep.
Things that we should be willing to allow in order to keep the Second Amendment. Okay.
Yes.
So Serbia is tied for number 3 with Montenegro, thank you, in gun ownership per capita in the world, behind the United States and Yemen. Yemen's number 2. However, the president has issued an order that all citizens turn in their unregistered weapons and ammunition to authorities by June 8th. Anyone who fails to surrender their weapons during the 1-month amnesty period will face stiff penalties and even possibly prison time. While many in Serbia blame Vučić for the general culture promoting violence in the media, disarming the population is this is where the media gets funky, is a mostly welcome gesture. First of all, this is how presidents go from president to tyrants. I just can't understand for the life of me why licensed, uncriminalized people have to give up their rights because of a few criminals. And I know we're talking about a few lives.
In the United States, it's not a few criminals and not a few lives.
Before my tragic boat accident where I lost all of my firearms, I had lots of guns.
How many did you lose?
Huh? I lost all of mine.
You didn't tell me that. Jeez.
I lost all of mine, and I'm using air quotes here. During the tragic boat accident, I lost all of my firearms in the lake.
May I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
To digress, next Wednesday will be Steve's birthday. I would strongly encourage everyone to send Bass gift cards to Mr. Lindsey. Apparently you need some.
Yeah.
Please continue.
So anyway, why would legal citizens have to give up their means of protection from criminals who are criminals by their nature, going to keep their weapons?
Well, you make it sound like that efforts to limit guns don't work, and they do. Look at countries around the world who have limited guns, then look at the number of shootings, and it does work.
Sure.
Now, again, going back to what you began with. No, I'm sorry. I want you to continue, then I'll rebut.
Well, I'm just going to say Serbia has a high rate of gun ownership compared to the rest of the EU. Gun laws are very strict. They don't allow semi-automatic weapons. They don't, and unlike the U.S., they have no equivalent for the NRA that are lobbying for our right to keep and bear arms, such as are protected by our Second Amendment. So Serbia is under under lots of pressure from domestic and mainly the rest of the EU that wants Serbia to disarm. This is no doubt going to cause quite a bit of grief in their country over the next few days as they are looking, because tomorrow, as of tomorrow, if you still have your firearm, you are probably going to be a criminal and criminalized.
2 days. Today's
Yeah.
the 7th. Gives them an extra day. I'm sure that means the world to all those guys who are not going to give their guns up.
Just they've already had 68,000 surrendered. 68,000 guns off the street surrendered. But those people who surrendered their firearms now have zero protection against the people who didn't, or their government. It's not. This is really
Against their government, huh?
dude. Don't get me started.
Against their government.
Because
you're still on that kick.
Absolutely,
Okay.
Jerry.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's what the Second Amendment's for. The Second Amendment is
No.
to protect our
That's what it
hunting
was
rights.
originally. You're absolutely right. That's what it was originally about. But you and I have had the discussion many times. Every pistol, every rifle, and every shotgun in the United States isn't jack compared to the United States military.
I agree.
No, then how in the world is it a defense against your government?
I certainly believe that you are accurate, but see, where you and I differ is that I think if you have the money, the means, and
Please don't go there.
the
Please
ability,
don't.
if you pass the
Please
criminal
don't.
background checks, if you'd like to have an M1 Abrams sitting in your driveway, you should be welcome to do so.
Well, first of all, thankfully, we have some politicians in the United States that, as bad as they are, they have done the right thing and said that that is not allowed and not legal. But let's not stop there. While we're on it, let's tell the people what else you believe. Mr. Steve also believes that due to the Second Amendment, and by the way, he only likes the last few words. He doesn't like the first part. He likes the last part, the part that says your right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's the part that he likes. And he uses that to say that if you wish to have a couple of machine guns, flamethrower, a tank, an Apache helicopter,
Elon Musk
a nuclear submarine, you have every legal right to do so because the Second Amendment gives you the right to keep and bear arms. And arms does not mean weapons. It does not mean rifles, pistols, and shotguns. It means weapons. And therefore, he believes that it gives you the right, the constitutional right, to have any and every weapon known to man, which means that the only people who can afford these nuclear submarines is the military and drug gangs. So he wants to give drug gangs the ability to buy nuclear submarines
drug
tomorrow.
gangs wouldn't be able to pass the background check.
They don't have to. You don't think? By the way, he doesn't believe that the background checks are legal because the Second Amendment doesn't say if you have not committed a felony.
No.
You said this one during an argument we had that that nothing gives anyone the right in the United States to limit who gets weapons. I asked about mentally retarded people. Nope, it's not in the Constitution. How about people who committed crimes? Nope, it's not in the Constitution. You kept quoting, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. That's going to... can you imagine if crazy people...
Jerry, you and I both agree that some common sense stuff has to happen. Background checks. We agree on background checks.
We do.
You know.
And one of the biggest reasons why I want some of these common sense things to happen is so we don't get to the point like Serbia. By the way, what's the last country who did the knee-jerk reaction like Serbia and got rid of almost all weapons? Do you remember? New Zealand.
Oh,
After
yeah,
the Christchurch shootings back in early 2000s, New Zealand banned all weapons. It sounds eerily reminiscent of what Serbia's doing.
Yeah.
Now, what I don't want to see happen in the United States is the same type deal. And
You won't.
trust me, if we don't enact some common sense things like background checks, I also think there's a couple more. One is the, what do they call it? The clips that only hold up to so much, the high capacity magazines. Right now, you can go buy drums that hold 100 bullets. Could you please tell me who the hell needs that? If you're not a criminal, who needs 100 bullet drums?
Well,
That's ridiculous.
It's not a need; it's a want. But I agree.
Who wants it?
I
Who the hell wants that?
Someone too lazy to reload
For the next 2 years?
I don't
shoot
disagree with
that
you.
many. But
Most guns can't even shoot that many without overheating.
My point is, if we don't enact some of these common sense things, the day's going to come when one too many shootings happen. A Christchurch shooting will happen in America, and it'll turn the public perception. And suddenly, next thing you know, if the people in office won't do it, they'll vote some in. You'll see wholesale bans like we're talking about. I don't want to see that happen.
If you see those type bans start going into effect, the United States will go into civil war.
So
I'm just saying.
Who wins at war? Who wins the war, Steve?
No one.
The government wins it hands down.
I'm just saying. If you wish to divide our nation permanently, that will happen with any type of gun.
It'll last about 5 minutes. They'll beat it with drones. They don't even need to lose one soldier. Yeah. I mean, they send drones out.
Soldiers aren't allowed to attack U.S. citizens, supposedly. So,
if it was,
I wish our 3-letter organizations also had that rule.
If it came to civil war, all of those rights would be gone.
I just know, as a air quotes former gun owner, that
I'm a current gun owner.
That the pistol that I would have in the closet has been there for 5 years probably now, and has never jumped out and shot somebody.
Yep.
Just saying.
But one of the people in Serbia, the first one you was talking about, and this has happened different times in the United States, whenever a child in your home has access to a gun, you're probably going to face criminal charges if that child chooses to take that gun and go kill a bunch of people. And I think you should.
Absolutely. I don't disagree.
So for the guy who let
Two things with that. A, if you're going to keep firearms in your home, then all of your children need to be aware and have gone through some sort of firearm education and trigger locks.
Yep.
Period.
I agree.
If you're not willing to do that, then you shouldn't have the gun in your home.
Now,
you should never make your children afraid of a firearm.
I know it's a total guess, but if you were to guess, what percentage of gun owners in the United States would qualify due to those restrictions you just gave or proposed restrictions?
I would think most legal gun owners would be willing to do that.
Trigger locks? Really? Go look up how many's been sold in the last 10 years.
Oh, no, I don't have trigger locks on mine, but what I'm saying is, if that were, see, here's the thing: legal gun owners are going to do what it takes to become and stay legal gun owners. They're not going to break the law. They haven't now. They're not going to start. So if there's a law that says trigger locks, and you're going to be held accountable,
there's no law that says trigger locks, is there?
No.
But there's a law that says you have to be responsible and keep them away.
Be responsible doesn't necessarily mean trigger locks.
No, it doesn't.
It could be a safe. It could be away from a child where they can't reach it. It could be. There's a whole lot of levels to being responsible.
The last I heard, the statistics, and again, you're looking at some people who'll agree to answer their surveys and let you come and look and check and whatever, but it's way less than 50% that are come close to.
When I was in high school, Jerry, probably you too, you couldn't go in the high school parking lot without there being a whole parking lot full of guns.
Steve, I mentioned I'm a gun owner. If I told you, I'm pretty sure I have. I think I've talked about it on the air, how old I was when I first became a gun owner.
Sure. Yeah.
I was 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
I had an uncle that passed away, and his wife didn't want the guns in the house for whatever reason. She had 2, and she'd give my brother 1 and myself 1, and I've had a gun ever since. Went hunting when I was probably about the same age, 6, 7, 8 years old. I've had a gun ever since. There was no, but you know what? We were taught gun safety from early age.
Right. As soon as you could understand what that meant.
Before we were allowed to go hunting or, allowed to have it. But
anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I just feel that anytime that a nation uses a knee-jerk reaction like this, there's always the action that comes back after.
Well, always. New Zealand, what's been that reaction? That was close to 20 years ago.
New Zealand is a weird place, though, man. That whole place is just now coming out of lockdown.
Huh? I bet Japan. They got rid of their weapons many, many years ago. Yeah. What happened there? Anyway.
Mochi wants to know if we have an opinion about Target.
Target?
Yeah,
The store,
yeah.
French-owned company.
You haven't heard the controversy?
No.
Oh, well, it's kind of several weeks ago. They kind of pulled a Bud Light, which, by the way, sales are still down for like the 8th week in a row on Bud Light. By the way, they've probably and I'm just guessing here. Most of the pundits that I've heard are also guessing the same. Is that Bud Light has permanently damaged their brand?
No.
You don't think
No.
so? The beer wasn't that good to begin with,
Steve,
and they've given their
which beer? Of the hundreds and hundreds
No.
under Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch
I'm not
label.
talking about Anheuser-Busch. I'm saying Bud Light, period. That particular brand.
I don't know that that's that big of a deal if that one brand. Who did they leave Bud Light and go to? Probably another one they freaking own.
Not me. I
Maybe
went to
not.
Caucus,
But seriously, I mean, you and I got to talking about it one time. They
and
own
they
a
have
ton of
120 different brands.
So I would. How much do you think that the overall sales of Anheuser-Busch's went down? Probably very small.
It's like 8% overall.
You sure? Okay.
0.8 or 8%. I don't
Of the
remember
Budweiser?
Which. No, of Anheuser-Busch.
Okay. Last I heard, I thought it was around 2.
It may be. I know that
Anyway,
Bud Light is.
We got
down.
way off topic.
Target.
Target.
Target. Target had a ad campaign in the center aisle of their store going into summer. That was because June is Pride Month.
Okay.
And they had a big, huge Pride thing with all the kids' stuff. And beside the kids' rainbow colored bathing suits and swim trunks, they had women's swim trunks and bathing suits that had tuck pouches for trans women. All right there for women. A huge backlash. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Target lost.
Hadn't even heard about it.
Had lost their stock, lost almost $1 billion in a week. And I could be off on that number. Please don't hold me to that. But big deal, and a big oops for Target. Let me tell you, we need to work on our oops. No, what movie that's from? Oh, you just went quiet, Jerry. Why did you go quiet?
I was waiting for you to tell us what movie it's from.
Oh, the movie? Oh, Independence Day, one of my favorites.
Gotcha.
By far.
So my turn.
So yeah, Target. Just to clarify, Target lost in the last week. Let's see, where did they lose? It was 11 days. They lost. It was the first time in their 23-year history that they've lost stock value for 11 days in a row. It was downgraded overnight from neutral to neutral by J.P. Morgan, and their company stock overall fell 1% on the S&P 500.
How many days? When was it down so many days in a row?
Just the last part of May, early part of June.
My daughter called.
Yeah.
Their stock actually is up 3% in the last 5 days.
Yeah, well, they removed all that stuff.
So I'm just saying they weren't down 11 days as far as current, because in the last 5 days it's actually up.
No, I'm saying it was an 11-day streak. You're asking me for. I'm not a Target specialist, and I sure don't follow the stocks that well.
I'm just telling you. People don't care that much.
No, here's what I think you're wrong. I think real people are tired of having an agenda pushed down their throats.
100% agree.
That's why.
And they'll go shop. They'll punish them, but not significantly, I don't think. Who knows?
Yeah, they had an infant onesie, according to Mochi, that said, "Ask me my pronouns." Really?
That's so stupid.
Freaking infant?
That's so stupid.
Gosh.
And here's the problem I have with this whole debate is the parents that would buy that freaking onesie and put it on their child.
Absolutely.
It's the same people who have these 5, 6, 7-year-old kids that they're trying to get approved for sex change surgeries. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I don't care if they're 8, 9, 10.
We should tackle this in an actual show. Because I think that we both
I think the
have
15,
opinions.
16-year-olds is a little different. Still, no way in hell I agree to it. No way.
Yeah.
But at least at 15 and 16, they have begun to go through puberty. That they
At
have a
13,
general
14, do
idea.
you agree with
No, I don't
puberty
know.
blockers?
What is puberty blocker?
It's basically hormones that they feed these kids with needles that block puberty, the beginnings of
No.
puberty.
See, I don't believe in that for a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a different discussion when you have it with a 16, 17-year-old versus the younger.
Yeah.
But there's no way I would agree to it with a 16 or 17-year-old.
No, I agree.
18 years old, you're an adult.
Matt
Go
Walsh,
freaking do it.
you
Don't
know
ask
who
me
Matt
to pay
Walsh
it.
is?
Yes.
Commentary,
Sure.
very smart dude.
Conservative guy, but very intelligent guy.
Yeah. He has a show that's upcoming that is simply titled, What is a Woman? And he has gone around to all of these trans and women's groups, and
I've saw some of his talks on this same
thing. He is putting together an entire show, documentary on what do people actually think a woman is.
He destroys people with that
he does.
question and then their answers to it.
And then he'll answer, and they're like, "Oh, well, a woman can be anything." And he's like, "Oh, well, what about a cat? How do you know what a cat is?" And then they just walk away because it's the same thing. And he's just putting it in he's a brilliant dude. And I
Very smart guy.
Yeah, I think Mochi's right. She would love to have a guest discussing how they're trying to erase women. That'll be fun.
How they're trying to erase women?
That's what they're trying to do. I mean...
No, it's not women. It's how women more so than men.
No. They're trying to erase women as far as the trans people, the trans men joining women's sports. The trans men who are getting...
You're talking about sports alone? Is that all you're looking at?
No.
Because the entire trans thing affects men just like it does women, other than sports.
But primarily because women are a minority, and I'm using air quotes.
There's more women than men.
Jerry, let me finish.
Please do.
As an example, advertising and modeling, they are taking... Nike, for example, is using trans men to advertise bathing suits and sport suits.
They've gotten rid of women, and it's only trans?
In a lot of cases, which is really crazy to me.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, you look it up.
That Nike has using primarily trans models?
Anytime they use a trans model over a woman, that's taking a position from a woman that a woman should have had, even if it's just one.
But is the same not true for the trans?
Absolutely.
I don't even know so it's not getting rid of. It's getting rid of gender.
It's getting rid of common sense.
There you go. But as far as women specifically, I get the sports analogy of how it's getting rid of women. But for everything else,
Mochi's on top of this. We got to just bring Mochi in
here. Well, Mochi, we tried. Once, twice,
soon,
but we're going to get this figured out. It's probably going to mean we have to switch companies, but we're going to get it figured out to where we can have call-in, and you will be their very first one we bring on, and you're more than welcome.
So where was we talking to originally? So how do we get on this topic?
I was getting ready to go into my topic. And then
go ahead, please do. Sorry. I mean, we're
I need to go to this one
right now.
Because this is my topic that you put in the title.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A little late. We'll do it.
Yeah. Last week we talked about the debt ceiling compromise that it appeared would happen, and it did happen. Last Wednesday evening, I think it's about 8:30, around the time that we were ending our talk, it passed the United States House of Representatives, and sometime on Friday it passed the United States Senate. Well, apparently that didn't sit well with a few members of the House Freedom Caucus, who yesterday decided to stage a revolt against Kevin McCarthy. And they did so by voting to block progress on a mixture of bills. What they did for every bill that the Republican Party, the party in power, wanted to bring to the floor, they have to take a procedural vote to bring it to the full floor. That normally is nothing but a procedural vote. There's nothing to it. It takes 2 or 3 minutes. Everyone votes, and it's a done deal. And everyone on the side of the party in power votes for it, and it comes to the floor, and then it may or may not pass. But usually 100% of the party in power vote to bring it to the floor. They don't want to piss off the party leaders. And actually, when they voted against it, it was the first time in over 2 decades, the first time in over 20 years that a bill brought up by the party in power had failed to pass the procedural vote. And what happened was there was 11 Republicans, members of the House Freedom Caucus, that joined all the Democrats, and they voted against the bills, which meant that nothing was accomplished yesterday in the United States House of Representatives. Nothing other than attempt to bring, I think it was 4 different bills, and everyone was voted down. Every single one, simply because they're pissed off at McCarthy. They feel that McCarthy didn't live up to the compromise that they forced him to make back when they first took, when the Republicans first gained power in the GOP in the House of Representatives, and McCarthy was trying to become Speaker of the House. And at first he didn't have the votes, remember? And they
Right.
went for several days, his longest in, I don't know, 20, 30 years.
10, was it 11 votes?
Something, no,
took-
yeah, maybe more. I
I
was
think
thinking
it took
14.
11.
There
Maybe
were
it's
several
14.
votes
It's 14.
before he was made Speaker of the House. And in doing so, he had to agree to several different demands. And one of them was that he would pursue physical budget cuts. 100%, and not only agree with the Freedom Caucus for insisting on that, but it's extremely important and it has to happen. We've talked about that many times, but this is not the time. The debt ceiling is not the time for that. They got so pissed at Kevin McCarthy for forcing this down their throat, that's the way they looked at it, that they decided to take yesterday and stage a revolt and say, hey, here's the power we've got. We can stop you from bringing anything, everything to the floor. It can't even be considered. Again, first such procedural vote to fail in in nearly 2 decades. Threw the day's schedule and actually the rest of the week into disarray. Matt Gaetz had this to say: "We're frustrated with the way this place is operating." He's one of the more outspoken members of the group, but he also said, "We're not going to live in the era of the imperial speaker anymore." So, what do you think? 11 Republicans decided to hold the entire House of Representatives hostage, and nothing would happen until their wants and desires are met. How do you feel about that?
Well, I got two things. First thing is, if nothing is getting done in Washington, that could benefit Americans. It means they're not taxing us anymore. That's a joke. The serious thing I have to say about that is, due to McCarthy's negotiations to get the job, he should be thankful that they didn't vote him out and take his
Well, they
job.
can't vote him out. These 11 people can't. Now, if you haven't heard, what they're doing is they're saying, hey, this is our first step. If you don't meet with us and start agreeing to some of our demands, the next thing we're going to do is to ask for what you alluded to. Part of the negotiations was that McCarthy had to agree to, if one member brings up a complaint, one member can force a revote and
Yep.
take it back to the very beginning,
Right.
and nothing happens until the speaker is
I agree.
reelected.
And that's what I was talking about. At least they wasted a
threatening
day, as opposed to going through another week or two of trying to elect another speaker.
No, not instead of. They're saying, if you don't do things our way,
No.
we will do that next.
I understand what they took a step before going to that. That's what I was getting at. And I'm really torn on the Freedom Caucus.
Me
because
too.
of all the people that are trying to bring sanity and common sense to Washington,
And get our spending under control, deficit under control.
These are the people doing it.
Yep.
I don't necessarily agree with their methods.
Their timing.
Their timing sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're at least doing what the people voted them to go do.
They're trying to do something about one of the biggest problems in the United States.
Absolutely.
I don't agree with holding the House of Representatives hostage. That's not the way to do it. Wait until you're discussing the budget. That's when all the money's spent, is the budget. That's the time to have this discussion.
I agree.
I feel the same as you. Very good idea. The discussion needs.
Let's tweak on our message, and let's tweak on our timing, and let's make this work, because
Absolutely.
11 could easily become 20 if the people get behind them.
Yep.
20 could become 50, 50 become
Well, actually,
100.
there's a lot more than 11 members of the House Freedom Caucus.
Oh, yeah.
There's only 11 of them that are willing to do this right now.
And those are
so,
probably the 11 that aren't up for election this year.
uh,
Or because they are up for election. Either
Yes.
way. It depends on what their district looks like.
Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, Chip Roy. Those are three of the most outspoken ones you hear a lot about.
Republicans increased officially by 2 new delegates running for president this last week.
Officially, or other than the ones we've already
Signed their
talked about?
paperwork. Yeah, no, they officially signed their paperwork. Mike Pence and Chris Christie. Both candidates that I actually like both of them.
I really like Pence. I don't think he's got a shot in hell, but I love the guy.
Well, and I'm going to save my next 2 topics for next week. I was going to talk some about the alien UFO whistleblower. Hopefully, we'll get more information this coming week. That'll be fun. We can chit chat about that next week. And then I think people. I was trying to look it up while you were chit chatting there. I wasn't ignoring you, I promise. I was trying to find out how many people in India are Christian. Do you have any idea?
No. Pretty small minority, though, I think.
Yeah, most people there are Hindu.
Yep.
Or Buddha.
I'll look it up while you go ahead and make your point.
Oh, I was just going to say that if you're a praying person, you should really pray for India. They are in the middle of a really bad couple of weeks.
2.4%.
2.4%. India, I would ask for prayer for them because 2 weeks ago they lost 300 people in a train wreck. Just yesterday, did you see this video? It is unbelievable.
I don't think so. What?
No one died that I'm aware of, but they had spent hundreds of millions of dollars on this bridge, and something structural failed.
Didn't read it. Or read it, didn't see it.
And it collapsed. I mean, it looked very much like a Golden Gate type suspension bridge. Lots of money invested, lots of time. Sure, you don't build bridges unless you need them. And for it to have collapsed in the way that it did, just tragic. So better now, I guess, than with a whole fleet of cars on it. But still, they just need some help over there. So
I was reading an article about the train crash, and it was saying that it told how many thousands of miles of rails they have in the country. If I remember correct, it's 13 million people every day travel by train in the country.
Have you ever seen the videos of those trains?
Some.
Oh my gosh. They have no regulations like we have.
Well, very, very few. And it's extremely antiquated. Yeah. For the last maybe 6, 7, 8 years, they've been trying to rectify the problem. But apparently it had just been let go and not maintained for decades. Yeah. So it's going to take a long time to fix the problem in its totality. And they're unfortunately probably going to have more. But yes, please do remember them in your prayers.
Yeah. Well, Jerry, do you have anything else tonight?
I do not.
Well, in that case, if you can't see the light,
be the light.